Good afternoon, Patriots. It is December 15th, 2015, and I guess you could call this the maiden voyage of the Fred Brauer Report. Thanks for joining me. I think we're all pretty aware of what's going on in Los Angeles at the moment and our federal government's absolute failure in being able to provide us with any credible security whatsoever. So what I wanted to do today was focus on one of my personal pet peeves, and it's education and the blatant liberal progressive influence that's taking place in our high schools and our colleges. And personally, I feel like this is probably one of the most dangerous things that are being perpetrated upon the American people right now. Because if you think about it, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, in 2013, 3 million kids graduated from high school. Now, if you do the math on that, and we're not even talking about college here, I'm just talking about high school kids. You count 3 million per year, and let's say during Obama's administration, where it seems to me that the indoctrination of our students has gone into overdrive in the past 8 years. The indoctrination of our kids and the indoctrination of our college students has gone into overdrive in the past 7 or 8 years. I know it was bad before, but I mean, you got professors like this Melissa Click at the University of Missouri. I mean, college staff is partaking in Black Lives Matter movement and protests. The schools are literally instigating this progressivism. But think for just a minute. You got 3 million kids graduating high school each year. Okay? Now, during Obama's term, that's 20 million kids that have entered into the electorate. All of which have been, I'm sorry, not all of which, but probably most of which have been subjected to liberal indoctrination at one time or another, and have been brainwashed into quite a bit of progressive thinking. So I want to focus on this principle in New York. Eujin Jaela Kim. Now, this woman is only 33 years old. Now, you already know the story, probably. She banned Santa Claus. She banned the Pledge of Allegiance. She banned Santa. She banned Thanksgiving. It had to be called Holiday Feast. You know, my question is, where does an educator or a principal or a teacher or anyone in a school administration or a college administration, where do they get the idea that they have this kind of power to enact this kind of progressivism on a student body without parental permission? I mean, they're still kids. We're talking about high school kids, 13, 12, 14. They're children. They're still under the supervision of their parents. What needs to happen here, parents have to take a proactive, aggressive stance and find out what's going on in these schools. Now, luckily, in this case, Melissa Ferrer, I believe her name was, but she was on Fox this morning, and she blasted this. And Fox and Friends gave her 15 minutes, and now suddenly in PS 169 in Brooklyn, Sunset Park, Brooklyn, the school administration is saying, oh, that's a mistake. And suddenly the Pledge of Allegiance is reinstated, and Santa is allowed back in the school. Now suddenly he's not a religious symbol anymore. But it took the actions of one person to contact local media and get on camera and say something about it. this is what I mean when I always talk about civil disobedience and being proactive. If you have a student, if you have a child in high school, you have a child in college, and you're a parent, and unless you're a dyed-in-the-wool Marxist or a communist, you need to find out what's going on in your kids' schools. Because without parental supervision, school administrations are going to brainwash our kids. Now, luckily in this case, and by the way, Change.org has a petition already up to remove this principle. And the petition was put up for Justice for Americans. It already has 1,848 signatures. I checked that an hour ago. It's probably more now. But, you know, this principle, and I have this article here. I'll read some details of it. One staff member said, "We definitely can't say Merry Christmas. Nothing with Christmas on it, nothing with Santa." PTA President Mimi Ferrer, that's her name, sorry, said administrators told her, "No angels. We can't even have a star because it can represent a religious system like the Star of David." Kim, the principal, age 33, did not return a call or email seeking comment. In a memo to staff this month, PS 169 business manager Joanna Bjorken added, "In case you are wondering about gray areas, Santa Claus is considered another religious figure." Now, I don't know how Santa ever got related to Jesus or God, but there it is. Kim has other wacky priorities, school sources say. Soon after joining PS 169, May 2014, her first time as principal. Her first time as a principal. She ordered the faculty to clear their classrooms of clutter. She moved hundreds of books and loads of supplies into the gym, where parents and other community members took what they wanted. That's disturbing right there. That is books and loads of supplies. Those are paid for by taxpayers. That is not her property to just give away. So that's gross, overly stepping her bounds right there. Giving away books and supplies. The rest was tossed in the trash. Also not her prerogative. She also dumped boxes of newly purchased reading books in the basement because she preferred another curriculum. So now we have a principal that is deciding the curriculum. A 33-year-old first-time principal. This is the kind of thing that's happening all over the country, folks. We have college presidents deciding that their schools are going to be no-go zones. We have high school principals and high school administration deciding what our kids' curriculum is going to be, even contrary to boards of education. This is progressivism. It's arrogance. And the reason there's no accountability for it is because, in my opinion, not enough parents are taking an active enough interest in what is going on with their kids in school. The frightening thing about this is, like I said earlier, 7 or 8 years down the road, you've got 24 million potentially new voters that are liberally skewed, that will probably vote Democrat. This is how progressives create a generation of Democrat liberal voters. You indoctrinate the kids. This is why Lenin said back in 1914, 1917, "Give me a child for 6 years and I'll give you a Bolshevik for life." You get them when they're young. Next up on the fun train here, on Melissa Harris Perry on December 12th, so just 3 days ago, there was a young lady, a professor with a PhD in political science from Rutgers and a BA in politics from the University of California at Santa Cruz, Cristina Beltran. And her position was that it was necessary to bring up a dialogue in response to Islamophobia. It was necessary to bring up a dialogue about white racial terrorism. Now, she has her own website, which probably not too many people read. But this is a professor at NYU. Email, phone. If you're interested, her phone is 212-998-3970. And her email is cbeitran@nyu.edu. She is a tenured professor at New York University. Now, her follow-up on her personal blog, her personal website, and the website is available on the NYU website. And I'm going to read it to you because it's not that long, but this is the mind of a professor teaching college kids in New York on white racial terrorism. This is her words. So, I was on Melissa Harris Perry on December 12th as part of a good discussion about Islamophobia. It's not that we actually have a legitimate, rational concern about Islamic terror. We're all Islamophobes. And a comment of mine upset Bill O'Reilly, leading to a swarm of hate tweets and emails. Breitbart had singled out something I said for a brief article only hours after the show aired, and the O'Reilly factor picked it up from there, truncating my quote to one partial sentence. Now here's the fun part, because she's going to elaborate on this and make it even worse for herself. I don't know how many people went to her website to read her explanation, but here it is. Which is too bad, because my point isn't controversial. That every community and every culture has toxic aspects, and that terrorism, globally and in this country as well, has a long and ugly history that predates 9/11. Terrorism has often taken... Sorry, I lost my place. In the United States, that terrorism has often taken the form of white racial violence, as in lynch mobs, Japanese internment, the Zoot Suit riots, much more. That's the end of it. The current demonization of Islam and attacks on Muslim Americans perpetuates that history. Now, the Zoot Suit riots took place in 1943. Japanese internment took place in 1942, 43, 45, and 46. Actually, most of the internment camps were closed in 1945. There was one left open until 1946. Again, 60, 70, 75 years ago? What she failed to mention was that George Herbert Walker Bush paid out $400 million in reparations to the families that were affected by, the Japanese families that were affected by Japanese internment. And her reference to the Zoot Suit riots, again, 75 plus years in the past. You see what liberals do? They have to go back 70 or 80, or in the case when Obama was talking about the Crusades several thousand years in the past, to make their argument, to ridicule our concern for our safety in regards to Islam. And I think you all know my attitude on Islam. I honestly, at this point, I don't trust any of them, and I don't see how any of us can. Tamshir Malik was, by most of her community, considered to be a quiet housewife, i.e. a moderate Muslim. So, and obviously we couldn't trust her. She slaughtered 14 Americans, along with her hubby. So, if we can't trust her, which one of them can we trust? I didn't want to get into that today. I'm trying to focus on who is teaching our kids? What are they teaching them? And what is our country going to look like 10 years from now with the block of people in their 20s that are voters? We're looking at 20 or 30 or 40 million brainwashed kids in their 20s that are going to vote possibly Democrat across the board. That is a scary subject. That is a very frightening concept. And that's something we have to address this issue right now. We already know how adults think, and you're probably not going to change their minds. Many of them. You know, remember when Romney said years ago, 45% will vote for Obama no matter what. And I believe that's probably true. That's probably true this election too. 45% of the United States is going to vote for Hillary no matter what. Because they want their free stuff. They're oblivious. They're uninformed. They're diehard liberals. They're diehard communists. They're diehard Marxists. Or they think they're going to get something out of it. Free college. By the way, this is why people like Bernie Sanders offer things like free college. That is like dangling a carrot for millions of would-be liberals nationwide. Look, I'm going to give you free college. Make sure you vote for me, though, 5 years later when you graduate. That's how that works. Beltran continues. There are going to be troubled people in lots of different communities, but you're totally right. The way whiteness has a way of individuating subjects in a particular way, and I do think this is really scary, awful, alarming moment in our politics. Whiteness and Islamophobia. Never once do we admit, as a liberal, never once will a liberal admit what the real issue is, because it is contrary to their global agenda. The agenda is globalization, a high-ruling elite, and the rest of us little pawns paying taxes so that someone like Obama or Hillary can redistribute it all. Earlier today I asked a question. The debate's coming up tonight. And I think I'm going to do this probably every show. Because what I want the Fred Brauer Report to be is I want it to be how you feel about certain things, certain subjects, whatever it is. And by the way, you can always contact me at fredforwethepeople@gmail.com with questions, comments, suggestions. Like I said, this is the very first show, so it's going to change, it's going to improve. I'm on my own. I don't have sponsors. I'm not going to advertise. What you see is what you get. This is it. For the people, by the people. It's your show too. So, questions, suggestions, news tips, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's good for the country, it's constitutional, supports the Bill of Rights, if it's good for we the people, send it to me. Because I want to know what's happening in your school. If you're a college kid, I want to know what's going on in your school. If you don't like what these professors are teaching you, hey, contact me. I will put it out there for you, okay? We don't have to put your name to it. If it's happening in your workplace, on your street, in your business, it doesn't matter. I want this to be the eyes and ears for the American people. Because mainstream media picks and chooses what it wants. And if it bleeds, it leads. Many of the times. And liberal media won't further your cause at all. They could care less how conservatives feel, or what they want to accomplish. So I would like to do that for you. And if we get successful at doing this, fabulous. But there needs to be a consistent conservative voice out there that isn't plagued with needing to make millions of dollars And, you know, listen, don't get me wrong. I love a lot of the radio personalities out there. I really do. I love them. I love them. But, you know, they're 10 minutes into a story or a debate, and bang, you know, you got to sit there and wait while they go through 10 minutes of commercials. And, you know, I really don't feel like doing that. I just don't. So, I mean, this is going to be, the Fred Brauer Report is going to be completely survive on donations. And if I get them, great. If I don't, that's cool too. I mean, if a few weeks or a month down the road, you like what the show is doing, you like how it's presented, you like the information that you hear, you can go to GoFundMe.com/FredKKRP. Donate to the Fred Brauer Report. All right, next up. The Facebook question that I posed. And most of you saw, I got some really good responses here, so let's go through them. And my question was, which candidate, if you have decided on a candidate, which candidate have you decided on? What state are you in? And give me 3 reasons why you like that candidate. So here we go. Mary, New York City. Patriotism, honesty, representative of the people's needs. I will vote from New York City, Brooklyn, and I will vote for Trump. Why? Because he seems to have 3 qualities. He doesn't have to prove anything. He's done it all. He has money, he has power. I have heard that he does not have political experience. That's fine with me. We don't need someone right now with political experience. We need someone who can clear the country up and return the nation back to its old value. We are not perfect and never were, but we had values. Thank you, Mary. Now let's go down here. Diane Fresca, New Jersey, voting for Trump. Point 1, he's not a politician. Point 2, he'll get rid of the Affordable Health Care Act. Point 3, he will stop illegals. Rob Kettner. And he says, this is my real name. I thought it was, Rob. Rob Kettner in Maryland. I will be voting for Trump. Number 1, very successful businessman. Will be able to manage our debt. Number 2, strong on military, defense, and our vets. Number 3, will deal with the influx of illegal aliens and terrorism without the worries of being PC. Thank you, Rob. Lisa Rockwell, Las Vegas, Nevada. Trump. I'm from Las Vegas, and our school system has been overrun with illegals. In 2008, Clark County schools had a Hispanic population in our schools of 14%. 2015, that number is 43%. These criminals and their kids need to go. I, as a taxpayer, saw my useless governor pass a tax increase of $1.1 billion. The majority going for less than English-speaking student illegal. Add to that the economy, the state of our military and vets, our economy, and that atrocious healthcare law. I'm in for Trump. Every politician elected gets bought out, and I, for one, am tired of taking it up as a taxpayer and paying for all these freeloading criminals. Margie White, Ohio. Trump again. Is not a professional career politician, proven success at organizing talented and experienced groups. Is Christian. Values strength of military leaders, owes no special interest groups favors. Business-wise, for America's job. I think we have a common theme here. Gloria F. Dale. Love of country will not be bought and encouraged to take on the demon hordes as we the people have always done. Trump, 2016. Daryl Rector. Trump again. Knows how to balance a checkbook. Strong against gun control. Reform. Is strong against government controlling all aspects of our lives. Vote Donald J. Trump. Will make America great again. Linda Inglett, South Carolina. No, I'm sorry, Savannah, Georgia. Trump for president. Businessman, leader, will protect our country, and does what he speaks. Tim White, Florida. Trump, Christie. Leadership, build working relationships, the coalition, including Putin. Developing military superiority. That's Tim White in Florida. Sean Stevens, Trump is a do-it man, but he is not conservative. Cruz is my guy. Rick Heim, Missouri. I would like to see a Trump-Cruz ticket. Trump already has the major opposers of freedom hating him and fear him. Cruz would make the best second in charge because he is just another form of Trump, less fearsome and dramatic. Interesting look on that, Rick. Cruz would make the second best in charge because he is just another form of Trump, less fearsome and dramatic. That's an interesting way of looking at that. Linda Kramer, Wenta. Cruz is my guy. Honest, abides by the Constitution, and is no doubt a conservative. Can't say that about others running. Let's see. Josh Jones, Maryland. Trump. He is willing to fight the media and refuses to be called a racist. He understands the threat of illegals coming back and forth through our unprotected border, and he understands how to negotiate for his benefit, which I hope he'll use for the good of Americans. Eris Nicholas Ober, Virginia. Trump. Number one, I like that he's got the guts to say the things the other candidates won't. He can't be bought by special interests, and we need someone like that right now. Two, seems the other candidates are all playing for the same team, so I just don't trust them. They are all coming after Trump, so that says something. Even Netanyahu is coming after him. His sense of American nationalism is healing the nation even now when he's campaigning. Imagine how America would change overnight if Trump were to become president. All the real estate he owns in the country and out of country, his clothing line, which is great quality, and even the Miss America pageant, which he owns, will become something more, mean something more when it is the president whose name is behind it. This could help turn the image of America around immediately, mixing the pop culture scene with the politics scene. Oh, I hadn't heard that take on it before. Thank you, Eric. Rafael Nina, Florida. Trump again. Financial know-how, 1. 2, puts the matters of his country first. Number 3, is not afraid to fire the people who are not doing their jobs or doing them wrong. I can see that now. Trump looking at people in the Senate. You're fired. I don't think it works that way, but... Linda Kelly Gilbertson, California. Trump. Honesty, backbone, and a love for America. And that is all of the answers to my Facebook question for today. Folks, thank you for listening to the first edition of the Fred Brauer Report. I'm not going to make them real long. This has already been 28 minutes. Questions, comments, suggestions, tips, news, doesn't matter what it is. Please contact me. You can get me at facebook.com/Fred4USA. F-O-R. Fred for USA. Twitter.com/Fred4USA. @Fred4USA. You can also read my blogs on vigilantpatriots.com. You can also read my blogs and catch my show on teapartycommunity.com. And once again, if you like the show and would like to donate, you can do so at gofundme.com/Fred, KKRP. By the way, there is one more thing I have to tell you. Twitter, of course, and Facebook are both run by diehard liberals, which in my opinion means the effectiveness of conservatives communicating on Twitter and Facebook is already compromised and may get worse in the near future. There is an alternative. Go to teapartycommunity.com. It operates almost exactly the same way as Facebook, except nothing you say will be censored. It is a perfect platform for conservatives to network on. teapartycommunity.com. And before I go, I would like you to go to my good friend John Wolf DeVere, who also has a podcast. He has a website that is supporting veteran rehab and treatment for veterans. There's a PayPal set up for that account. Go to www.veteranhorizon.org if you want to help our veterans with rehabilitation and treatment. Also, don't forget, Liberty Farms, www.libertyfarmco.com, which is a horticultural training facility. Veterans with PTSD get all of the training they need on site in Spiro, Oklahoma, and they can go home and actually run their own farm and turn up to a $50,000, $60,000 a year profit. Also, finally, and I will let you go, please do not forget Freedom Home for the Forgotten. www.freedomhomefortheforgotten.org. John and Vanita Pate. If you don't know the story, I'll tell you really quick. John and Vanita Pate sold their home down in Florida. They bought 40 acres in Sierra Blanca, Texas, upon which they are building a homeless shelter for homeless veterans. Let's get our veterans off the street. We have 50,000 homeless veterans in this country, folks. That is absolutely, it's unexcusable. It is unexcusable to have the men and women that signed up for the ultimate sacrifice to be homeless on our streets in the greatest country in the world. 50,000 homeless veterans last time I checked. Homeless in the United States of America. And John and Vanita Pate are doing their very best. They work on this 24/7, trying to build Freedom Home for the Forgotten in Sierra Blanca, Texas. Once again, that's freedomhomefortheforgotten.org. Please go there. Even if you can only donate $1 to Freedom Home or Liberty Farms or Veteran Horizon, let's do everything that we can to help our veterans. Folks, thank you very much. Until next time, facts versus fiction, logic versus chaos, critical thinking versus emotional propaganda.